Hi, this is William Simmons with Medicare Strategies, and this video is a more detailed educational video regarding prescription drug plans, which is Part D of Medicare. In this video, I want to focus on four specific components of Medicare Part D plans. First is that the plans are offered by private insurance companies, not Medicare or the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Two, that the Part D plans will require an additional monthly premium, depending on how you obtain your Part D benefits. Three, medications are classified into tiers, and we'll go over that. And four, all Medicare Part D plans have a specific model, and there are four phases to that model, and we're going to share that information in the video. Now, prescription drug plans are not administered by CMS, which is the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. All prescription drug plans are offered by private insurance companies, meaning claims are submitted to the private insurance company and they will pay the pharmacy their share, and obviously you have to pay your share. But CMS does not offer any prescription drug plans. They're only private insurance companies. Now, each plan will have a Part D premium, especially what we call standalone drug plans. There are two primary methods for receiving or enrolling in a Part D plan. The first is what we call standalone drug plans, and that is a drug plan that covers nothing other than prescription medications. And normally, someone would enroll in a Part D plan when you are enrolled in original Medicare as your primary insurance, and then you add a Medicare supplement. There are individuals that do not add a supplement, but for a standalone prescription drug plan, primarily it would be for an individual who is using original Medicare as your primary insurance. Now, the second way to obtain Part D coverage is through enrollment in a Medicare Advantage plan, what we call an MAPD, Medicare Advantage Prescription Drug Plan. So all of your prescription medications will be included, in that prescription or Medicare Advantage plan. And the Medicare Advantage plan may or may not have an additional monthly premium. If they have a premium, there's usually a portion of that that is allocated towards the Part D benefits. But if the plan does not have any additional premium, then you are not paying an additional monthly premium. But for a standalone drug plan, you're always going to pay an additional monthly premium. Now, all of the Medicare Part D plans put medications into tiers. Normally, there are 5 tiers. There are some companies who have added a 6th tier, but the majority of plans have 5 tiers. And tiers, the first 2 tiers are generic medications. So tier 1 is preferred generics. Tier 2 would be non-preferred generics. Then you have tier 3 that is preferred brand, and tier 4 is non-preferred brand. And a tier 5 medication is a specialty medications. Now, it's very normal and common for copays and the cost of the medications to increase as you increase the tier of the medication. But it's also sometimes not always cost that drives whether a medication is a tier 3 or tier 4 or tier 5. It is based on usage as well. As you see, tier 4 is a non-preferred brand. So if there's a medication that is not as well used or not as often used, and it may have a higher cost than a preferred brand, it may be put in the tier 4. And therefore, it normally has a higher copay than the tier 3. But you could expect, in general, the higher the tier of your medication, the higher your copay may be. And this is for all of the prescription drug plans. All of them have medications that are put in tiers. Now, I will say this, every drug plan has at least two medications in every drug category. So every drug plan is going to cover hundreds of medications, but all these plans are not created equal. There are some plans that have a $13 monthly premium. There are some plans that have $130 a month monthly premium. And as you can expect, the lower cost plan will probably not cover as many brand name medications as the higher cost plan. So there are different nuances to all of these plans, and that's why it's important to meet with a specialist who understands the differences and the nuances that can help you select a plan that's best for you. And I consider that being the best is that it covers your medications at the lowest cost. That's not always the case, but that's kind of a guiding principle I use. Now, the last section of this video has to do with the different phases of a Part D plan. Now, every Part D plan has these specific phases. This is Medicare mandated, and this is how all of the Part D plans are set up, whether they are a standalone drug plan or if they're included in the benefits of a Medicare Advantage plan. The first phase is the deductible phase, essentially where you would pay that deductible before the insurance company contributes anything towards the cost of your medications. And that deductible does vary. It can be currently as high as $480 a year. That's an annual deductible. However, some plans have zero deductible, some plans have much lower. And one thing that some plans are offering that they may be lower cost plans that have a high deductible, but they will not apply the deductible in the lower tiers, the tier 1 or tier 2 generics. But that varies by plan. Just talk with your Medicare agent about that to understand how your plan functions in relationship to the deductible. That's phase one. The second phase is the copay or coinsurance phase. So once you get through the deductible, you will have a set copay based on the tier of the medication. So a tier 1 may have a copay up to $5. A tier 2 may have a copay up to $20. A tier 3 may have a copay up to $40. And I express it like this because let's say you're in a tier, your medication is in a tier 3, but the medication only costs $20. So you would pay $20, not the $40. However, if that medication costs $300, you will pay $40 instead of the $300. So they have limits for each tier, and they kind of the maximum copay for each tier. And once you get through the deductible, that's what you will be paying. Now, the third phase is called the coverage gap, also known as the donut hole. And what is concerning to many people about this third phase is that it creates the potential for a higher monthly copay. And not to get into all of the different details of how you get into the donut hole, but you get into the donut hole once the retail price of all the prescriptions you've had filled reaches around $4,400. Once the retail price reaches that amount, at that point, instead of paying that phase 2 standard copay, you would start paying 25%. Now, there are certain exceptions to this. There is a new program out now for insulin medications. And if that drug plan participates in the senior savings model program, then the cost of your insulin would not increase once you get into the donut hole or coverage gap. It would stay the same throughout the entire year. But the rest of your medications would go from paying the standard copay to paying 25%. Now, the last phase is what we call the catastrophic phase. and you can move through the donut hole or the coverage gap. Once you do, you would go into this catastrophic phase and start paying approximately 5% of the cost of the medication. So it would go down about 20% from the phase 3, the coverage gap phase. Now, I know there's a lot of information about prescription medications, and for many people, prescription medications provide a higher risk for out-of-pocket cost than medical cost. And it's based really on what I call the medication mix for each person. The medication mix meaning the different medications you may be taking. Some people may take 2 generics and their costs are minimal. Another person may take 2 generics, 2 brand name medications, and or medication that doesn't have a generic, and that individual has much higher cost. It is important that you make the best selection for yourself because prescriptions can become a large out-of-pocket cost for many individuals. And that's why I encourage working with a local agent who understands the prescription drug cost and can help you select a plan that not only covers your medications, but covers them at the lowest cost possible for the year. That concludes this video regarding Medicare Part D. If you have any questions, please contact my office at 256-425-8614. Thank you for watching.